All right, three, two. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Spread the Positive podcast. I am your host, Trent Denson. As always, we got a incredible show for y'all today. I got a special guest in studio with me, Mr. Dan Bristol. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. This is going to be really special, man. I'm super excited about this. Dan is a volunteer race director with Tunnels to Towers, a 5K run walk out in Hendersonville. We're going to get into the whole backstory of how you got involved with this amazing organization. Tunnels to Towers, if you're not familiar, please check them out. It's t2t.org. Just wanted to give Dan a chance to give us a little bit of his backstory. And like I said, just kind of some of the stuff that led to him having the passion that he does for this organization, man. So take us back, man. I always like to get to know, we just met 5 minutes ago. So
right.
Give me a little backstory of you, early passions, kind of your career path, and what led you to T2T.
Okay. Well, I've been in retail for quite a few years, almost 40 years.
Okay.
My last job, I was a district manager for Banana Republic and Gap for about 20 years.
Wow.
And I was a regional community service leader for them.
Wow.
And as I'd shared earlier, one of the big roles that I had was setting up our volunteer activity with a lot of nonprofits. And so I got to know who were some of the good nonprofits and who were some of the ones that were not as good. And
Sure.
the ones that, if you had 85% of your proceeds were going directly to that organization's, not causes, that was a pretty effective nonprofit.
Right.
And so when I got involved with Tunnel to Towers as a volunteer, I saw really quickly they were at 92% of every dollar going to it. And as of today, they're at 95 cents of every dollar. So that your money is really being well spent because it's all going to those causes. Just to give you a little backstory on Tunnel to Towers, I don't know if you remember what you were doing on 9/11 when
I sure do.
The planes hit the Twin Towers. But
History class. Yep, never forget that.
Well, I had been with Gap for about a year, and I was actually on my way to open a brand new store. And I had about 8 or 9 people with me in a van, and we pulled over at a gas station and saw the first plane hitting the Twin Towers. And everybody thought it was an accident, right? Nobody would have suspected at that point that it was an attack. Well, on that same day, there was a young firefighter named Stephen Siller. And Stephen Siller had just gotten off the graveyard shift, working overnight, and was going to play golf with his brothers. When he saw the plane hit the buildings, he told his wife, he said, "Hey, there's an accident that happened. I'm going to see if I can help. Tell my brothers I'll catch up with them later." He goes back to the station, gets all of his gear, and he heads for the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, which if you know anything about New York, you have to get through that tunnel to get to downtown where the Twin Towers were. It's about a 3.5, 4-mile trek from the tunnel. And the tunnel's about a half mile long underground with no air conditioning.
Jeez.
When he got to the tunnel, the second plane had hit the other building, and they figured out that it was an attack at that point. So they dropped the security gates. He could not drive his truck through there. So he had a dilemma. How am I going to get there to help people? So he put on 65 pounds of gear, his tank, his mask, his jacket, helmet, everything. And he ran through that tunnel in the searing heat. And you can imagine how hot that gear is and those jackets. And he ran that 3.5, 4 miles to get to the Twin Towers. He went inside the building, started saving people, and he was inside the building when it collapsed. So he died, and he left behind 5 kids and a big mortgage.
Man.
His brother Frank started a fundraiser to pay off his brother's mortgage. And in the course of doing that, they realized, there's 342 other firefighters who died that day, as well as hundreds of other first responders, and also left behind children. So his family got together and they started this foundation. And in this foundation, there are 3 main programs that they support. One is called the First Responder Program. So anytime a first responder dies in the line of duty and they leave behind small children, that's the caveat, they will step in and provide a mortgage-free home.
Wow.
They do the same thing for Gold Star families. If you have a service member that dies in the line of duty and their family, there's children left, they will step in and provide a mortgage-free home. If they don't have a house, they'll find a piece of land and they'll build them a house.
Man.
They also have the Wounded Veterans Program. And if you have a veteran who is severely wounded in combat, they will step in and provide a modified home for that veteran. They are now also working on a program where they're buying up these old hotels and they're refurbishing them and they're providing homes for homeless veterans and services.
Wow.
It's just amazing, the programs.
That is amazing.
How I got involved, I'd never really heard of the organization. I think I might have seen a commercial on TV or something, but my son was a police officer in Hendersonville. He was killed in the line of duty back on December the 30th, 2019.
So sorry.
Um, my family received a phone call from Sergeant Frudenthal, who's a sergeant at my son's precinct, and he said, "We have a very important phone call coming for you tomorrow. We need everybody at your daughter-in-law's house." So we were there, and we didn't know what it was about. We got a phone call, and it was from Frank Siller, the founder
Wow.
of Tunnel to Towers, and he proceeded to tell my daughter-in-law that you don't have to worry about your house. We're
Wow,
going to pay
dude.
off your mortgage.
Unbelievable.
I can't tell you what a weight that lifted off of our family and off her. And I knew that I wanted to do something. I wanted to get involved and
Yep.
do something to pay it forward.
Wow.
So I did a lot of research on the company, realized what a great organization this foundation was, and one thing led to another, and here I am.
That's incredible, man. First, so sorry for your loss, and that's it's gut wrenching. The whole thing is pretty gut wrenching, but also it's amazing, and there's a lot to celebrate. The tagline was "Spread the positive" is bringing light to what's going right. This organization, what you're doing, the memory of your son, all that stuff is definitely a great example of all those things. And appreciate you being here. Appreciate you sharing this. Yeah, so here we are. You're a volunteer race director, clearly passionate about the cause and the pay it forward aspect of just the whole full circle of this whole thing is super powerful. So what was that process like? How did you fully get involved, and what did that look like?
Well, the first thing I did really was after I learned what they do and how they support families. They have a program where you can sign up for $11 a month. You can help pay off someone's mortgage.
Wow.
And so the first thing I did was I spoke to all the people at the police department, and I pretty much got almost the entire police department to sign up. $11 a month. I always tell people, hey, if you're a coffee drinker, if you can give up, your favorite coffee house 2 times a month,
Yeah.
it's usually about $5 a cup,
Right.
you can help pay off somebody's mortgage. So who couldn't afford to give up 2 cups of coffee, right?
Yes.
So that was one commitment. And the second one was I did the math and I said, look, if we could raise 100,000 new members for Tunnel to Towers that are paying $11 a month or more, we could raise $1.1 million a month. That would pay
Wow.
off on average about 2.5 mortgages. So I made a commitment to Frank that my life's mission is going to be that I'm going to raise 100,000 new members. And every time I get somebody to sign up, I always say, put it in memory of MPO Spencer Bristol, because that helps me keep track and helps us, count how many people have done it in his honor.
That's
And once
incredible,
I
man.
get to that 100,000 mark, I'm going to present Frank with a plaque that says, hey, we've raised $1.1 million a month for you.
Wow.
Um, and to further this cause. So,
Jeez, you
but
got one, man. Hey, send me that link right now. Send me that link. Or how can people do that?
you
Let's.
go to t2t.org,
Okay.
you scroll down to the run, walk, and climb series,
Okay.
and then you look for Hendersonville. There's a bunch of different runs and walks, but if you look for Hendersonville, Tennessee, when you click on that, there's a couple of different options. One is to donate, one is to volunteer, and one is to register for the run. If you donate, you're given an option to put your donation as a one-time donation or as a recurring donation, like $11 a month.
Sure.
And it also offers you an opportunity to put it in memory of someone. If you do that, put it in memory of MPO Spencer Bristol.
MPO Spencer Bristol.
Master Patrol Officer. He had just gotten promoted, so that
Man,
was his title.
man, done deal. We'll get. Hey, I'm gonna chip away at that with you, man. That's powerful stuff. 1.1 a month, man. That's unbelievable. And we were just talking off mic. He said there's like 60 of these happening this coming weekend.
There's
Oh,
21
sorry.
on
Okay.
21 on Saturday alone
Yeah.
in different areas. So there's one in Medina, I believe, Ohio. There's one in the one closest to us is in Lynchburg, Tennessee, down next to Jack Daniels. So
Nice.
I'm actually going down because one of our biggest sponsors, Hunt Brothers Pizza, Scott Hunt and
Just
Hunt Brothers Pizza,
nice, man.
they
Love some Hunt
have
Brothers,
purchased. They
man.
purchased a Jack Daniels bar set, so barrel stools and the bar
Wow.
for us to auction off, because we have at our run every year. Our run this year is October 21st, Saturday in Saunders
Yes.
Ferry
Let's plug
Park.
away. We got homework to do.
Yep,
All right.
and it's in Saunders Ferry Park.
I'll put that. We'll have that in the show notes for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we have a silent auction that goes on during the run, and so we have all sorts of items that have been donated or being donated. And our great sponsor, Scott Hunt from Hunt Brothers, they provide free food the whole day. So we have
Man.
free pizza all day long. They also sponsor us by providing sponsorship funds, and in addition to that, they've gone out and they bought us this bar that
Wow.
that we can auction off. Over $1,000 paid for this bar to
Wow.
auction off for us. And then we have an autographed George Strait guitar that George Strait donated to
King
us.
himself.
Yes,
I love it, man.
we're getting paraphernalia from a lot of country music fan or stars, and all kinds of baskets and things that have been donated. Costco donated a $500 gift card from their new
Nice,
store
man.
that's
Nice.
here. We've got Hyundai. Hallmark Hyundai is one of our biggest sponsors. They donated $15,000 as a sponsor for us this year. For the last 3 years, they've donated over 50, $12 to $15,000.
It's amazing.
We have some just amazing sponsors, and I could sit here all day and name them all. But they'll be on the T-shirt, they'll be on our
Sure.
market, they'll be on our website soon. Just the run is so inspirational because when we set up the run, we have an opening ceremony. We'll do an opening prayer. We have the presentation of colors. So Metro Honor Guard will come out and provide the flag and do a presentation of colors. We'll have Ainsley Costello, amazing talent, will be there singing with her
Nice.
band. We have several families who have been impacted personally who come up on stage and share their experience of what happened and how Tunnel to Towers came to their rescue.
Man.
We will recognize some of our best sponsors. And then, we have this silent auction going on. We'll have, like I said, free food. There's bouncy houses for the kids. We'll have face painting going on. The silent auction has some just great items out there. This year, we're expecting that we'll have Prime Hydration out, giving out some
Nice.
samples as
Okay.
well. Some ice cream from Brewster's Ice Cream will be out there. So we'll have all kinds of goodies and things.
Man.
But just an amazing day, inspirational day. Families getting out, but probably the most inspiring part of it is seeing all the firemen running in gear that are reenacting what Stephen Siller did, his heroic run.
Hmm.
When you see all these firemen, we have, our starting line is two big ladder trucks with a flag stretched between it. You see this patriotic symbolism of these firefighters running with a flag in their hand and running with gear on, and just, reenacting that heroic run of Stephen Siller. It's amazing.
Got chills. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just. I mean, I'll be there. I will be there. I'd love to. Any way we can help too. We'll obviously have all the clips and all the ways to get involved. And man, this is amazing. I did a little home. Is who can you the musician you mentioned is who introduced the father of that musician, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm
Jim Costello.
Jim. Shouts to Jim. Thank you, Jim. This is incredible. Man, I just completely blanked on his name. Sorry. Thank you for that. But that's gonna be incredible, man. That's just. I mean, those are some major players doing some really big things to support something that's obviously really needed and something that should be celebrated. So, man,
I can't tell you enough how much of an outpouring that we've had in this city. Hendersonville and Nashville in general. When my son was killed, people stepped out on the side of the road to show their support. Vince Gill came and sang at his funeral.
man,
We had some just some amazing people who gave their time, their energy to show their respect, to support. And that's what we're looking for from Tunnel to Towers. Our biggest goal is to get as many people as we can to sign up and join us
yeah,
and come out and just celebrate our heroes.
that's right.
Not just the ones that are passed, but the ones that are still
Absolutely,
doing the
man.
job every
Salute
day.
to everybody. I mean, we don't have any of this stuff without those folks. So, absolutely, anything we can do, you got our full endorsement, full support, man. It's again, we talk a lot of this stuff gets covered up with all the stuff that's not working. Like this.
Mhm.
To be honest, I wasn't very familiar with this, and I did some homework, and obviously was super excited to be able to share your story, share the work being done. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that is a textbook definition of what this whole network, this podcast, everything that we're about is talking about the stuff that's working. Like we act like we don't have these solutions to big problems, man. A first responder passing, soldiers passing, the resources and the stuff behind this mission is I mean, it's literally saving people's lives after the fact, and like furthering furthering their legacy, furthering everything that they signed up for, man. It's a true testament of our country, our communities, and just like, again, stuff that's actually working, stuff that we are handling regardless of who's in office, regardless of
Mhm.
your political affiliation, anything like that. It's strictly like, this is something that's working, period. And
Mhm.
like the fact that we can just, the numbers here, 95% of every dollar goes to like directly to the cause. There's no big corpos keeping a lot of this money. It's just, it's a perfect example of what we're about, man. So I'm blown away by it, how effective it is, how efficient it is, and the impact. That's what we're always talking about here too, is just impact over everything. Because you can raise a lot of money, you can do all the things, but if you're not, allocating and doing the work, it's for not like, what's it for? But
Yeah.
this is, man, this is powerful stuff.
Yeah, the Siller family is just so they really want to honor their brother, their son's legacy, and so their whole idea behind this foundation was supporting those families who are left behind, and realizing that there's so much tragedy, but what can we do to help those families? And I can't tell you, when I looked at my daughter-in-law and looked in her eyes when the fact that she lost her husband, first of all, going through that trauma, and then the second panic coming in is, oh, am I going to lose my house? My son and his wife had just built a house. They just moved from one area to another area and built this house, and it took both their incomes
Sure.
to pay that big mortgage. And
Absolutely.
as a police officer, they don't really make a lot of money. I mean, they don't do this for the money. They do it because they care about their community. And they work, most of these guys have to work a moonlight job. They have to work other security jobs just in order to make ends meet. And he was working at the churches, he was working in different places. And when we lost his income, or she lost his income, that was her big panic is, am I going to lose my house? Like, where are we
Right.
going to sleep? And this Tunnel to Towers stepping in allowed her to go back to school and finish her education. It allowed her to work part-time and be a mother and father to her daughter, which, is incredible in itself. But,
Yeah.
as a grandfather, to this sweet little granddaughter, my job was like being a dad and a grandfather,
Absolutely.
and
Salute to you, man.
but
That's no easy task.
Tunnel to Towers made that more possible
Sure.
because it allowed more free time. They weren't strapped and burdened by that mortgage. It's such an amazing thing when you see that, and I've seen it time and time again in the few years that I've been doing this. The people, just recently we had a helicopter crash here where two service members died. Both of those families' mortgages were paid off.
From just like
Uh,
that.
Tunnel to Towers stepped in. They left behind children. That's the caveat. If they leave behind small children, Tunnel to Towers will get involved. And just one of the big things about these runs is creating awareness so
Yeah.
people know about it. I can't tell you how many fire departments I've gone and talked to. Even the firefighters, some of them didn't know about this organization.
Right.
And for them to know creates that awareness. So when something, God forbid, any of them, I always say to them, help me help you.
Yeah.
Get the word out, because if we can make people aware of this organization, this foundation, there are so many families who could benefit from that who may not have gotten support before. And we just want to create further awareness. And the more people that support it, the more families they can help. You know,
Amen to that, brother. Like, that's, I mean, that's powerful. I mean, and just, I mean, I was looking on the website, over $500 million,
yeah,
over, since, I mean, that's staggering. I mean, that's insane. And I mean, just the fact that all these things are in place, and I was looking at all the programs and these smart home thing. Like, you want to speak about some of, I mean, I was just going through the programs alone.
yeah.
It's insane, all the stuff that this organization's doing. Like, I'm kind of mad at myself not being more familiar with it, but man, I'm so grateful to have a firsthand, conversation with someone that's so connected like this. I mean, these programs are unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the three main programs are the first responder program, which supports the families of fallen first
Mhm.
responders, the Gold Star program, the wounded veterans program, and more recently, they have been working with homeless veterans. So they're buying up and refurbishing a lot of these old hotels and motels and providing a place to live for homeless veterans. And giving them, not just putting them up, but giving them counseling, giving them service animals, giving them counseling to help them get back into society, to hopefully work through some of the issues from PTSD and some of the other mental issues that our veterans are experiencing, having been traumatized by war.
Absolutely. Again, it's working. like this is stuff that we could replicate. This is stuff that's being replicated. And again, regardless of any affiliation, we can I hope and pray we can all agree that our veterans need help. And
Yeah.
there's so many that feel like they're left behind, that there's a lot of stuff that obviously could be better. There's a
Yeah.
lot of that. Don't get me wrong, and not minimizing anything, but the fact that stuff like this exists and we have the opportunity to let people know about it, man, like that's what's going right. That's stuff that we can point people in the direction of and get resources and get help when they have been let down by other stuff. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, that just gives, I mean, it's just hope, right? Like,
Yeah.
just giving people hope and giving people the resources that are out there. It's what this whole thing's about, right?
Oh, absolutely. I just heard recently that Gary Sinise moved, here to Nashville. He's got a foundation. They started the first responder program as well. I mean, it's not just military, it's first responders as well. And he's such a great guy, one of my favorite actors. And I
Nice.
love what he's doing too. It's very similar to Tunnel to Towers. And, there are these organizations out there that, do support our first responders and our military. And these are the people that put their lives on the line for us every day. They're
Yes,
here to protect us and, protect our country and our rights. So we got to do something. We got to do more to help them.
that's right. Um, Man, that's it. I mean, I feel like we really did it. Go ahead and plug the race again, and just every way that people can kind of get involved. Obviously,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have all the notes, and we'll be able to send links and
Yeah.
put some emails together, all that type of stuff. But just plug away. It's your time, just to really let people know. First, like the race is coming up on October 21st.
Hmm.
What can people do to help at this point?
Yeah, well, we need lots of help in a different ways. I mean, number one, we need people to register and help us grow our numbers.
Hmm.
Join us, come out and run, walk, participate. You can sign up as a volunteer. If you don't have the funds and you can't afford to sign up, for the entry fee, then sign up as a volunteer.
Okay.
Come out and join us. It doesn't cost anything to volunteer, and you can still participate. We need items for our silent auction. So if you've got items of value that you want to donate, anything, there's really no limit to what can be donated. I mean, we have people donate bottles of wine. We
Sure.
have people donate baskets, donate first responder items, gift cards. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a bar set from Jack
Yeah,
Daniels
that's so
that
cool.
was donated by Scott Hunt. We've got racing paraphernalia. I mean, all sorts of things, autographed items.
Yeah.
We need sponsors. We need people to, sign up and be sponsors with us. In any way they can support us. And if you can't, just pray for us.
Sure.
We can always use prayers, but
It's really powerful in itself.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of miraculous things have happened. Just this year, we were trying to build buy a new timing system because we didn't have a timing system for our run. And thanks to the Citizens Police Academy, they're voting on that. I think they're going to, possibly help us pay for that. We've got some judges and some lawyers in Hendersonville and up through Gallatin and Sumner County that have pitched in to help us pay for that as well. So
Man.
just donating out of their pockets to help us. And so people everywhere, getting involved and doing things, but just show
Yeah.
up there and show your support for our first responders. Not just the fallen first responders. One of the things though that's really cool at these runs is we have badges of
Sure.
all the 343 that passed, and you'll be able to either run or walk in honor of one of those people, one of those firefighters that gave their life. You can pin that badge on your shirt and walk or run in honor of them. Last year, when we had the 13 officers or 13 Marines that died when they pulled out of Afghanistan. We had their pictures, their boots, and a flag there
Wow.
to do an honorary, just kind of moment of silence for them and a little memorial service for those guys that paid the ultimate price. But you'll see pictures of all the 343 that died on 9/11, and there have been so many more. I mean, literally thousands of people that have perished because of this terrorist attack, not just in the war, but in the after effects of cleaning up in New York, the exposure. In fact, the fire house that was right across from the Twin Towers, every member of that firehouse died on 9/11 except for one person who was on a medical leave. And I believe he passed a few years later after the exposure of what
Jeez.
was going on there. But there were so many people, thousands that have perished because of 9/11 and since. And so we honor them by paying it forward.
Absolutely. Man, that's powerful. Thank you for what you're doing, man. Thank you for sharing your story and carrying on the legacy of your son. Just can't imagine. And just thank you for the work you're doing. It's clearly, again, making a very, very positive impact, and the legacy is obviously going to go on forever. So I mean that's something to really celebrate. Everyone, Dan Bristol, Tower Tunnels to Towers 5K. It's on October 21st. We're gonna have all the links, all the stuff. Would love to be out there. We could definitely set up a little mobile pod stuff just to document some of the greatness, have some of the people come through and talk. Anything we can do, man, we're in your corner, and this is something that we will be rallying behind for years to come. So appreciate your work and all the stuff you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.